Hello and welcome to the webinar. Thank you for taking the time to join Digistore and One Beyond this morning to discuss archive and backup solutions. My name is Matt Wood and I'm one of the sales guys at Digistore. I've included all my contact details on the slide here, and I would like to welcome any questions at any time regarding pricing, quotes, configurations, or anything else. I've also included our Facebook and Twitter account details. Following Digistore is a great way to keep up to date with the latest events, specials, technology developments, and more. All attendee microphones are muted to avoid background noise. So if you have any questions, please type them in the questions window and we'll see if we can answer them during the presentation. They will be logged, so we will make sure we respond to each and every question, even if it is after the event. This webinar is being recorded, so if all goes to plan, we'll send you a YouTube link with a follow-up email so you can watch the presentation at your convenience. For those that are not familiar with Digistore, our company is a leading solutions supplier across a wide range of digital production areas. This slide shows some of the areas we address, so talk to us about any requirements you might have. We supply integrated solutions incorporating the world's leading brands and work closely with manufacturers to ensure optimal results. We work with mixed Mac and PC environments across Autodesk, Avid, Apple, Adobe platforms, across an office or across the world. So why would you choose Digistore for archiving and backup needs? We have sales and technical support staff in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. We have created Digistore customer assurance plans, ensuring priority access to the support team via phone and email, unlimited remote support via VPN, regular scheduled health checks, and extended business hours support. We also have classroom-style training, as well as the ability to send trainers on site. I'm now going to hand over to Terry and Ronnie from One Beyond. They are based in the US, so please bear with us while we bring them up.
Okay, all right. So thank you, Matt. Thanks to all our friends at Digistore, and thanks for all of you for tuning in and joining us. We're going to talk today about LTO archiving for digital media. Myself and Rony will be joining us. You may know her as the video lady. She's become quite famous with people looking at our website with all the demo videos. So let's jump right into this. I want to just briefly show you a little bit about who One Beyond is. Interestingly, we're going to be talking about one of our most popular LTO products called the NetDrive, and this presentation is actually being presented, and this whole program is actually from a NetDrive, which is underneath the hood a pretty powerful system. So just briefly about One Beyond. Our whole focus is digital production from one end of the digital production, starting with on-site all the way to post. And we've been focusing on just that for almost 17 years now. We design and manufacture systems and storage, and we now have a full digital workflow portfolio of what we call purpose-built systems and specially designed software for these products. Our key markets are film, episodics, documentaries. We've been involved with a lot of broadcast networks, and we cover the range, as you'll see in a second, all the way from literally the largest studios, I guess, all the way down to independent producers and videographers. So here's some examples. I think in recent history we've been involved in 12 or 13 major motion pictures. We are working with some of the largest networks, including CNBC, Sky, National Geographic, Discovery, ESPN, and we're currently in about 12 or 13 episodics that are, most of them are based in Hollywood, and that includes NCIS, which right now is the #1 episodic in the country. We're enjoying our 3rd season with NCIS, and we're with a number of other ones, but let's see if we can, there we go. Okay, so jumping right in here, why LTO tape for archive? As you all know, videotape and film are disappearing very quickly. We were all amazed at how quickly film disappeared out of our consumer cameras. One day we were loading Kodak and Fujifilm, and the next day we're trying to figure out what an SD card is. Same thing is happening, not as fast, and it didn't happen as soon in the broadcast and film markets because the quality wasn't quite there, but now it is definitely happening, and it has been happening for the last couple of years. As you know, video is shot on expensive camera memory, so this is something that doesn't lend itself to bringing back and putting on the shelf. These camera memories are very fast, large, and they're very expensive. So typically, we actually want to turn these camera memories around on set and reuse them as fast as possible. And that's one of the things our Wrangler products and our NetDrive products are aimed at. And what's happening, of course, is now that we no longer have that videotape to put on the shelf or that film to have as our ultimate backup, we have to look for something else. And unfortunately, what happened in the meantime is a lot of people started putting their digital assets on hard drives because really we didn't have any choice. As people are learning, digital hard drives are not really meant to sit on the shelf, and we've talked to many customers, sadly, where they might have had 1 or 2 copies of a very important asset and it's now lost. So LTO has kind of risen up to fill this gap, and the reason is because LTO tape is a digital tape, but more importantly, it's designed to sit on the shelf. It can have a shelf life of, you'll hear numbers of 20 years, 30 years, all the way as high as 50 years. It does not print through like traditional videotape, and you don't have to, if you read your videotape care and feeding manual, it says you're supposed to rewind those every year. Well, of course, nobody does that, and this is one of the problems that leads to the deterioration and print through and so forth. But LTO is designed to sit on the shelf, and it makes it physically an ideal medium. And then the next thing that happens is you want to, of course, find out what's on that tape. And here, one of the things I'll show you just briefly here is the roadmap. LTO is started, way back several years ago with the IT industry, and we're now currently in our 5th and 6th generation of LTO drives and LTO tapes. The numbers you see on this chart are really compressed numbers for the IT industry. In the media and entertainment industry, you can basically divide those by 2 because it's not feasible or technically possible to really compress video information, nor do you want to. So an LTO 5 right now is 1.5 terabytes, and an LTO 6 is about 2.5 terabytes. And the other thing that's been happening with this generational evolution is that basically every generation has become twice as fast as the previous generation, and the tape has become twice the size. So we're now at a very different point in LTO evolution, where originally the tapes were extremely slow and small, and now an LTO 5 tape is as fast as an eSATA drive, and LTO 6 now has surpassed the fastest eSATA drives. So it's a very exciting time for this medium, and as you can see, in the next several years, it's just going to get better and better. this roadmap is really technically already laid out, and the consortium is working on LTO7 as we speak. Now, here is something that can't be overemphasized. What has now happened to LTO tape, which is very significant, is we now have a standard format to write data onto the tape, and this format is called LTFS. You'll hear this acronym thrown around, and basically this is the savior of LTO tape as far as the media and entertainment industry is concerned, because the problem that LTO tape has had up until now is that being very slow and being small, these tapes had to have a lot of hardware and software designed for them to be useful, basically. So up until LTO5, when LTFS was introduced, these tapes had to have hardware doing things like caching the data before you wrote it to the tape because it was so slow, and you had to have fancy cross-tape formats because, as we all know, a video file can be very long, and if you're working with small tapes, you have to bridge that tape in order to make it practical. Well, that's no longer the case, thank goodness. LTO5, as I mentioned, is 1.5 terabytes, and video files now can be organized and fit very nicely onto these tapes without those kind of problems. So the industry basically went to the consortium. The consortium is the three largest manufacturers of LTO drives, which is IBM, HP, and Quantel, and they said, hey, we love LTO tape, but we cannot archive onto a medium that requires proprietary software and hardware to be able to read it in the future. And furthermore, we need a standard so that we can transfer files around our own organization or even between organizations. And we want to be able to read these files. You're telling us that 20, 30 years in the future, we're going to be able to read these tapes. Well, if they're written with proprietary software and hardware, that means we'll have to have those systems around in 20, 30 years, and that's not going to happen. So this was the basis for developing the LTFS standard for the industry. So now, if you're using the LTFS format, it is no longer necessary to have any proprietary software or any proprietary hardware. All you need to do to read an LTFS tape is load a simple driver, which is all free, onto your Mac, your PC, your Linux system. It's all compatible, and it can be on different operating systems, and it can be between Quantum drives, HP drives, and IBM drives, and the tapes themselves can be manufactured by 6 different manufacturers, and they're all interchangeable. It's hard to believe, but we have actually done this at trade shows, just deliberately to demonstrate that it is truly a standard. So we got involved in this very early on because IBM came to us and asked us if we would be a strategic development partner to represent the M&E industry to make sure that the LTFS software and format that they were defining and developing all the software for was going to work in the M&E industry as well as the IT industry. So we were very fortunate to be involved in the LTFS development from day one. And this gives us 2 very nice advantages. One is that we have access to IBM tape engineering directly, since we've been working with them for a couple of 3 years now. And also now we've joined with HP, and we have access to HP engineering for the same reasons. So that gave us about a 1-year head start on the development of products. So when you look at the LTO products from One Beyond, you'll see quite an extensive range of products, and Basically, that's because we were able to jump in early and start the development, and secondly, because we didn't have the legacy LTO 2, 3, and 4 systems and software to bring along with us. We were able to start clean and develop what people have called pure LTFS. So what that means to you is that this is very straightforward, very inexpensive, and very, very simple to use. And of course, completely compatible with the long-term roadmap and compatible with being able to exchange with other partners or even within your own organization. Now, one great example of the adapting this standard is one of the largest networks in the world, actually, is called Discovery Communications, and this is the mother company of the Discovery channels that you may have heard of. And right now, Discovery Communications has about 45 channels worldwide, and to fill those 45 channels with content, they have over 600 production companies producing for them, and they have over 100 in-house editors around the world producing content. So up until now, they had a nightmare of when videotape was the standard, they had to maintain multiple 10, 15 of every conceivable video deck, and they had to sit and physically watch all of these programs to check the quality. So they came to us early on because they knew that we were involved with IBM in the LTFS development, and asked us if we would develop a completely automated program and hardware for their program submission. And that program is now in place, and they are able to insert an LTO tape from a production company, and the checking of that tape, the format of what's on the tape, and right down to the actual essence of the program itself. We check about 20 different quality parameters to see that the audio levels are right, there's no black frames, no flashes, and on and on. So this has all worked very nicely, and it's now in full use. And then they came back to us and said, how about let's do something now for the production companies, because they need a simple way to produce these tapes. We're getting too many rejects. So we developed what we call the Discovery Easy Prep software program that allows developers to use our net drives that you'll see in a moment here, and develop those tapes easily, and actually run it through the same software before it even leaves the production company, the same software that Discovery is going to use for incoming inspection. So this has virtually eliminated rejects, and we give the production companies a full report, and if there is something wrong with the tape, we tell them how to fix it. It's been a big help to them, and these systems are very, very cost effective as well. So why are we uniquely suited to help? We do have extensive experience, and this goes back to all of our production experience with episodics and documentaries and major films and broadcast. What our approach has been in production, for example, very, very different than what you typically see in production. You're going to see a lot of homemade carts, literally, where DITs have taken components and put them together in a rolling cart, and this actually works very nicely, but it has some drawbacks. There are inconsistencies, there are many, many wires involved, and it can be less than reliable, and basically it's not very portable. So our answer to that is to develop what we call purpose-built systems and software, and you'll see an example here in a second of our Wrangler and also the net drive. These have been widely used now in these kind of productions all over the world. So At this point in time, we have the entire workflow, and all of our designs are based on open architecture, and ultimately, even though we have put very high quality components in these systems to reduce support problems and cost, we have been a value leader in this industry. So let's look at some specific products. First, we have the actual net drive, which is the little lunchbox looking thing in the upper left-hand corner. And next to it is an iPad. And this little box can actually be used in several different ways. It can be connected to your network, which is where the original net drive name came from. So it makes the LTO drive available for your editors and graphic artists and so forth, writing files to an LTO tape for archive, and it also allows them to pull files off of a tape. So that's one use. Another use is you can connect external hard drives directly to it through USB 3 ports and eSATA ports, and this solves the problem that a lot of companies have where they want to get those valuable assets off of their collection of hard drives as soon as possible and get them onto LTO tape. This is pretty much the fastest way that you can do it. And the little iPad there is a nice adjunct to it, because you can literally be walking around the facility with your iPhone or your iPad, and you can check the status of where the tape offload is, and when it's done, you can walk back and switch tapes. To the right, we're showing our Wrangler workstation, and this is a very ruggedized workstation that we've been using for several years. We've been hardening it, as they say. This is the unit that was actually used in Pirates of the Caribbean. That was an excellent example of where portability and ruggedness and reliability was extremely important. They filmed the last Pirates movie, which was actually 3D. They filmed it in the jungle, on set, and actually on a little desert island where they had to drop in the Wrangler from a helicopter. The most amazing thing was that they were able to use it right on board the pirate ship. And it's not very well known, but the movie actually had a full-size pirate ship that had over 100 production people on the ship to do the filming of the movie. And that, as you can imagine, doesn't leave much room for a DIT workstation, and the Wrangler worked very nicely there. You can go to our website and look under customers for a testimonial about Pirates. And now also in the lower part of the screen there, we have evolved into some additional formats, which are rack mounts and towers that allow you to put dual LTO drives in. By the way, the Wrangler is also capable of dual LTO drives. So next I want to talk quickly about our new library system. Ronnie's going to show you some of the insides of this in a minute. But the library is, we saw a big hole in the marketplace here, basically. We heard over and over again that the LTO library products were too difficult to use. We heard the comment many times that the IT department could hardly understand how to use them, let alone have a worker at a workstation or an editor get access or make use of them. And the second thing is they were extremely expensive. So we decided to jump into the hole that we saw there and create what we call the Easy Store library, the LTO Easy Store library. And basically, we met the challenge of training and complexity with what we call zero training. The Easy Store looks and acts to an editor or a graphic artist on the network exactly like NAS storage. You simply drag and drop into it, and the controller that comes with Easy Store makes it all completely automatic, and it all happens in the background magically. The other thing is that the cost model for libraries has been not only a very steep upfront cost, but you were charged for the slots. If you had a 48-slot library, the question was, how many of those slots do you want to use at first? Do you want to use 12? We'll charge you for 12 slots. If you want to use 20, we'll charge you for 20. And then later on, when you want to go from 20 to 30, we'll charge you an additional for those 10. And some companies were even charging when you take a tape out of the library and put it on the shelf. So one thing that was very important, we think, is we said, let's get rid of that whole cost model. When you buy an LTO Easy Store from One Beyond, you pay one price, and you never pay for additional slots or taking tapes out. And one of the things that is very important here is this is all LTFS based. Again, we had a fresh start with all of this with pure LTFS, and many of the libraries out there right now are still using some proprietary tar formatting. They have resorted to words like LTFS compatible and so forth, so just beware that it may not really be true LTFS on the tapes, which is important. Okay, so another area which we have unique solutions in is what do you do with all these legacy tapes that are sitting on the shelves? And believe me, we've seen a lot of legacy tape libraries that are mind-boggling how many tapes are out there. Basically, every company, it doesn't even matter what market. It could be retail, it could be house of worship, it could be corporations, all in addition to the traditional broadcast, film, and documentary type companies. And these companies all have been accumulating LTO tapes. Well, some of these tapes are extremely valuable, and they're sitting on the shelf. These videotapes, they could be analog videotapes, which the most of them are, but in more recent years they could be digital tapes, like Digibeta was extremely popular. But these tapes are all very large and cumbersome to work with. They all require drives that you have to maintain and keep running. So the trend now is I want to get rid of all of those tapes, and I want to put them on LTO for safekeeping. I want to preserve those valuable assets, and furthermore, in the process, I want to introduce media asset management so I can easily find these assets quickly and easily in the future. And so we developed the first product, the One BeyondFlex VTR, and this basically connects to one legacy deck. It could be analog or digital, and takes that tape and moves it to the LTO and allows you to do your media asset management at the same time while the tape is being written. You can also view the files as they're being written onto the tape. Then we ran into so many companies that had literally thousands of tapes, and when you do the math, even if you're running your Flex VTR 2 shifts a day, this can add up to be an 8 or 10 year project, because you not only want to preserve the tape, you want to create proxies, and if you do this in the traditional manner, it's not a one-step process, it's a 3-step process. So we decided to develop the Quad Archiver, and let me just show you briefly how that works. The Quad Archiver can connect to 4 decks at the same time, and these decks are all independent. They're independently controlled. They can be different. They can have different tape formats on them, and as you can see in the user screen, there are 4 quadrants, one for each tape drive, and they all run completely independent of one another. So that was the first breakthrough. The second breakthrough was that we want to take the proxy generation and make that not a second step, but let's bring that into the real time. This has never been done before, basically, and what we're doing here with the Quad Archiver is we're not only bringing in those valuable assets, but in real time we are producing the proxies as well as writing those files, the proxies and the originals, to LTO tape. So this has proved to take a project that might have been 8 or 10 years and boil it down into a 1 to 2 year project. So very, very important for people that want to get those assets under control very quickly. So in terms of asset management software, we're talking to various asset management software. We are, in fact, as with all of our products, we're open, non-proprietary, and we tend to be very agnostic, whether it's between Macs and PCs or whether it's between different asset management software. And we also can talk to Contempo, which I think you'll be able to talk to Digistore about, and other products as well. One hole here that we saw in the market is that a lot of companies didn't want fancy or expensive media asset management software. They're actually we found them keeping track of files in a spreadsheet, which is fine. That works. It's somewhat limited. So people have been asking us over and over, why don't you develop a very simple media asset management software that is also inexpensive? So we are now coming out next week with the new One Beyond product called Easy LTO Cat. Everything we do is easy, so it's simple to remember. But at any rate, we have had a tremendous reception to the concept, and basically most of the net drives that we've sold recently, oh yeah, let's throw one of those in. I think we can definitely use that. So okay, so how do we integrate this into the workflow? You can do it on set. This is becoming more and more popular now that we have products like the net drive that can do it. This wasn't possible in the past, but now with a very portable, rugged, small system that you can take into the field, we can capture those camera originals right there on set and make everybody breathe a little easier. A side note is that the insurance companies and brokers that back major motion pictures and even expensive documentaries, the only medium that they recognize as being safe is LTO tape. They certainly don't recognize putting stuff on hard drives, multiple copies even. So if you go on our website, you'll see a story about a guy that was doing a documentary on the snow monkeys in Japan, in the hills of Japan. And when his insurance company found out that he was taking a One Beyond LTO net drive, they cut his insurance so much that it actually paid for the net drive. Just a little aside there. But you can certainly move to doing archiving on set, but most archiving today is still done in post. You bring back the camera originals, and the first thing you want to do is get those camera originals onto LTO tape, and again, the insurance companies demand it. Then we're also migrating the old video, the video assets from traditional tape to LTO libraries and to LTO. And finally, LTO is now becoming the standard for delivering data across organizations and between partners. So that's pretty much it. We're going to jump into some demonstrations here. In the LTO workflow, you can see that we've been involved in many different kinds of workflows. Here's a little production example. Here's a post example. And we are really showing products in all of these areas. So I'm going to turn this over now to Rony, and she's going to show you some real examples of our LTO products.
Okay, so thanks everybody. I get all the fun because I get to actually use the system and demonstrate it to you. So right now I'm operating on this machine right here. You'll see this is our net drive. It's really small and compact. It's not much bigger than the tape drive itself. But instead of having a multi-card reader, as you see here, the one that I'm running right now actually has a red mag built into it, red mag reader. But of course, you can also connect anything externally to it. Let me just show you the connections on the back of a net drive. It's a little complex here, but the key connectors that we have on the back of a net drive are your gigabit Ethernet. That's huge, very, very important, because that's what enables you to drop files onto the tape across your network. We also, in our rack units, offer 10 gig E connection, which is becoming much more valuable now that LTO6 tapes can be written at 160 megabytes a second. That's actually faster than the data rate over your gigabit network. So more and more organizations are putting in 10 gig networks so that they can get move data around really quickly, especially with all the large files that we're dealing with. And of course, our net drives can accommodate that. Not in this particular small portable unit, but in the units that are built for the facility. We have USB 3 connection and eSATA. Again, fast connection so that data can be transferred quickly directly to the tape. That's key. In this system, as Terry was mentioning, you don't have to cache the data on the hard drive in the system. It can go directly from your external hard drive directly to the tape. So let me jump right into a demonstration, okay? So here what you see is the desktop of the net drive. And the first thing I'm going to show you, and then I'll talk about all the various applications that come with the net drive standard, is this is a Windows-based machine, but you know, think of it as an appliance, really. It's the most cost-effective, most direct way to get data on tape in the standard LTFS format. What you will see is internally we have 3 drive letters here. So there is an internal hard drive, and I'll tell you why that's extremely valuable. The key here is that we have a drive letter called T, which is our tape drive. And I don't know if you heard, but I just inserted a tape into the tape drive, and what you're going to hear is that tape drive kind of spinning up and about to be mounted onto the system. And what you see here is there's a lot of user feedback. There's an hourglass that shows that it's mounting. On the front of the tape drive unit, you'll also see a green flashing light. And as soon as the green flashing light stops and the noise stops, the tape is mounted. And what's fantastic, as Terry mentioned, is that what they use the phrase, this tape is self-describing, or it's the fact that the files, you don't have to have an independent database to know what's on the file, on the tape. You don't have to have a unique or proprietary file system. It's all built in. It's kind of as easy to use as a USB stick. You stick the tape in, and as you can see, I'm just double-clicking, and I'm navigating what files are on my tape already. Okay, so it's that simple. And when you've mounted the tape, this whole file index is loaded into memory, so you can navigate around the tape. Super simple to find out what's on the tape. What's also super simple is getting data onto the tape. So let me take an example here where we've got our L drive, okay, and I've got some sample footage, and I want to move this sample footage onto tape. That's how easy it is to back up to tape. All I do is drag the files over to the tape. Tape has built-in hardware verification, so as the bits are being written to the tape, right following the write head, there's a read head. So a bit is written and read back. If it can't be read back, you know, it attempts to write again. But obviously, if there's some fault and it's not able to verify the data, it'll actually tell you that the data wasn't correctly written to the tape. Tape has really been designed as an archive medium, so there's a ton more error checking than you would get writing to a hard drive. So what is happening right now is at first, the first time you're going to write to the tape, it has to actually seek to the part of the tape that's free. Once data is written to tape, thereafter, data just kind of streams to the tape. And as we were saying, with LTO6, we're seeing speeds of 140 to 160 megabytes a second. When you're writing, the most optimal speeds you're going to see are when you're writing from a really fast source drive over a fast connection directly to the tape. That's when you're going to see the optimal speeds. So there we have it. Our Canon 7D footage is now on tape. Voila. That's so that's one model of how we would use this net drive, is connect an external drive and with whatever copy routine you happen to like, whether it's drag and drop or there's some other copy routines, you can just copy directly to tape. Now, OneBeyond offers some utility software that's extremely useful for particular applications, and one would be the onset application. I'm going to show you our Wrangler software here. This is particularly useful when you're writing to multiple sources at the same time. So if I put a red mag into the card reader right now, you can see that it immediately recognizes the red mag and starts copying it to 2 destinations. It's reading once off the red mag and then writing simultaneously to the D drive that's internal to the net drive and the tape. So why is this useful? First of all, I could configure this with a third destination as well, which could be, let's say, an external drive you want to hand off to somebody else. But the main point here is that you're not actually going to review footage off of a tape. Although tape is a great archive medium, it's not a random access medium. It's not designed really to play video files off of. It's great for archiving video files. So when you read data off of a red mag and you write it simultaneously to both of these locations, I can immediately start playing it off of the hard drive for reviewing the footage. So I know that I'm backed up to 2 locations. One location is a hard drive that I can review the video off of and make dailies from and all of that sort of thing. The other is the tape drive, where I'm actually doing it for archive. Now in this particular case, I have the Wrangler software designed so that after writing the data, it actually reads it all back and verifies it using a checksum verification, an MD5 checksum. And in fact, we write the MD5 log to the drive as well so that you have that to hand off.
These are all options.
So these are all various options. And what you will notice as well, I can already here, because the data is already written, I can go to my D drive. I had designated that it's going to go to the day 1 folder on both the tape and the drive. On the day 1 folder here, if I search now based on the date modified here, you're going to see that this was from B015. That's the real name on the red mag. If you go to the red mag, you'll actually see that. Where's our red mag? Right here. B015 was the real number on the red mag. So it took that automatically and named the destination folder using the name of the red mag, which is very handy. But it also puts a date timestamp on there so that you can see, well, we're on U.S. time here at 7:41 p.m. and so that's the time when the transfer occurred. And inside here, you'll see all the data from the red mag. So we're going to go ahead and let this verify here in the background while I talk about one more really cool application that we provide you with on the net drive, and that's our watch folder app. So this is for the situations where you've got a number of people sharing the tape drive over a network. You don't want multiple people accessing the tape drive at the same time to write data to it, because then the data gets interspersed on the tape. So in this case, we've designed a workflow whereby there's a folder on the internal drive of the net drive called the net drive watch folder. This is shared out over the network. People can drop files into the net drive watch folder, and our watch folder app has various options on what it can do with files that it finds in the net drive watch folder, but one of the actions is to copy the files to tape. The nice thing about this is that it queues the files up and can actually do 3 operations on a file for each file that it finds. So besides archiving to tape, it can also, for example, Univision archives to tape and uploads to an FTP site. Sony archives to tape and does a transcode using an FFmpeg transcoder that they programmed into the net drive application. So there's a lot of flexibility here with the watch folder app. So as you can see, in addition to the integration of all the essential hardware elements, We're also filling in gaps where there's software. Terry mentioned asset management, and just to give you a quick view of, this is one of the asset management softwares where you can add your various assets and actually review the files and keep track. You can see here in the log notes of notes about any of the files that you've got on your tape, and then later search based on this. So if I want to do a search for clips that were location Boston, I can just type in BOST and it shows a file where I had entered location Boston in the metadata information, and it will tell me that it's on LTO tape with serial number LTO 0001. So that's pretty much it for the NetDrive demo here.
And that's running right on the NetDrive.
And so, yeah, and this is all, as you can see, right, the asset management software runs right on the NetDrive. We do on the NetDrive also install all the players for the various formats, so that you can play back your red footage or P2 footage or XDCam footage, whatever you want. Let me jump right now, because I think time is short and we want to leave a little time for questions here at the end, into the Easy Store, the tape library, and just how phenomenally simple that is to work with. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like from the client's perspective, I'm now going to pretend that this system that I'm on is a client on the network, and on this network I have connected the Easy Store library. And to see what I have in the tape library, I can just type in Easy Store. Most people will map this as a network drive, actually, and I'll show you what it looks like from a Macintosh as well. But your tape library consists of, let's say it's 12 or 24 tapes. Well, you can allocate certain sets of tapes to be a particular share, and I'm gonna talk about that in a moment. But basically, as far as you're concerned, you don't care exactly what exact tape in that library your data goes to. You just want to copy the data to the tape. So here's share 1, and here's all the files that are on tapes in the tape library designated share 1, and the same thing with share 2. So what does that look like from an administrative standpoint? Let me just now jump into some slides showing you the user interface of the tape library. It's all browser-based, and you can log in, and if you want to view your tape library, physically you can see that this particular tape library has 2 drives and a couple of magazines, and in the left-hand magazine it has 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, sorry about that, has 4 tapes, well, 6 tapes, because 2 are in the drives. And what you can see, I don't know if it's visible and the text is large enough, but we defined a few shares here, one called store share, which is comprised of 4 tapes actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's another share called import. So I think our tape library solution is probably the simplest to use, not only from the user standpoint that it's just operates like a NAS, you just drag files onto it or drag files off of it, and the library controller does all the work of figuring out what tape to write it to or what tape to get it back from. But the actual administration of the tape library has this really nice graphical user interface. So I can define different users. In this case, I've got the admin user, the basic user, another admin user, and different users have access to different shares, either read-write access or read-only access. Here you can see the 2 shares that are defined in this particular example, share 1 and project A. So share 1 is comprised of 4 tapes. So data will be written to this share, and it's going to go on one of those 4 tapes. Now, if you run out of room and you want to add another tape to this share, you can do that later. So it kind of expands, and you can also export tapes out of the library and put them on the shelf. The Easy Store system keeps track of all of the files and where they are, and you can always search for particular files, and it'll retrieve them for you off the library. So just a quick view of what it looks like from a Macintosh. When you mount a share from a Mac, it shows up on your desktop. So here was share 1 and project A. Those were the 2 shares we had defined in the Easy Store library. and you just double click on Share One, and you see the files that are on the library under Share One. And if I want to retrieve one of these files to my local drive, I just drag it directly off of here to my local drive. The robot in the background is going to stick whichever tape that file happens to be on into the drive and retrieve it for you. So it's really that simple. I think that's all what I wanted to go through for now, and we'd like to open it up for questions now.
Thank you very much, Terry and Ronnie. We have had a bunch of questions come through, so I'm just going to cherry pick one or two because we do have some time constraints, but we will get to all the questions over the next 24 to 48 hours. So there's been a lot of interest in Thunderbolt, particularly with, I guess, the way Apple's going, and people are asking about, is there a Thunderbolt device? Which, great news there is. So either Ronnie or Terry, would you be able to perhaps just quickly talk about the Thunder tape?
Yes. I should have mentioned in the presentation that our net drive is available with OS X running inside it or with Windows running inside it. And that doesn't mean that the Windows machine isn't used by Mac people in a Mac environment. I would say 85% of our data, our customer base is Mac completely or at least partially, and the net drive is designed to be completely operating system agnostic. But that being said, there are situations where you want to run Mac software on a net drive that just will not run, let's say, on a Windows background system. So we have the what we call the LTO Mac that you can see on our website, and it's running OS X. It has the same LTO drive in it.
I think what they were talking about was Thunderbolt connections. So
yeah.
So,
well, no. Let me say
the Thunder tape.
the LTO Mac does have a Thunderbolt connection that can talk to outside peripherals. But also, if you have, let's say, a Mac laptop and you want to use your Thunderbolt connection to talk to LTO, we have a completely self-contained LTO drive that we call the Thunder tape, and you simply plug in your Thunderbolt connection, and there are three things you gain with the Thunder tape. One is you get an LTO5 or LTO6 access on your laptop with OS X. Secondly, you can have a hard drive inside it because a lot of laptops would like to have access to a nice fast 4 terabyte drive, let's say,
okay,
and which is internal to the Thunder tape. And also you gain another Thunderbolt connection coming out of it, as well as several eSATA and or a SAS port that you can plug things
So it's really
into.
like an expansion chassis in a way for your laptop, and now obviously for the Mac towers too that have Thunderbolt connections. So it's really a fantastic way of adding tape capability to your Mac environment. Yes.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to take back control of the screen. So once again, thank you very much to Terry and Ronnie from One Beyond. If you'd like to chat further about archiving, please let us know. We are available for workflow consultation. Now, if your question has not been answered during the presentation, we'll be in contact with you over the next couple of days with some answers and also a YouTube link so you can rewatch and share with your colleagues. Thanks again, everyone.